Dear relationship cynics and relationship romantics, my name is Monice, and you are listening to the Romantic Cynic podcast. On this episode, I wanted to talk about physical attraction that we have towards a potential partner, or what we look for as far as physicality goes, and how important, sometimes, maybe a little bit too important, it is that we base someone's looks on a potential perfect partner for us. So I hope you join me on today's episode where we might mix in some laughter, maybe some tears, romance, and of course, some cynicism. Welcome to episode 12. Normally, we see with our eyes first, and then the other senses follow. And that is very true as far as attracting or being attractive to a partner that is physically appealing to the eye. You can be watching, seeing this, attractive male or attractive female walking down the street. And if you are attracted to them, maybe not from a sexual point of view, but just the fact that they're good looking, and it doesn't matter if you're, male or female, you can typically appreciate someone that is attractive. Now, all of us have our own definitions of what attractive is. For example, some people might have a preference to, blondes versus brunettes, or someone with brown eyes versus green eyes. So things like that, we tend to be a little bit more drawn to kind of like what our type is. Now, with that being said, we have this plethora of attractive women and attractive men on social media, where a lot of us, we'll find someone attractive, but at the end of the day, we don't know that person's personality. We don't know who they actually are. We just see what they want us to see and what they want us to believe as their personality. Now, a lot of those people do rely heavily on their looks, and I'm a big believer that it's definitely what's in the inside of a person, like your personality versus, your physical appearance, your physical looks, because your personality doesn't fade over time, but beauty does. Before we kind of like jump right into, kind of more of this deep topic, I did want to talk about this experiment called, it's called the matching phenomena. And so this video is actually available on YouTube. I watched it a few years ago and I want to study psychology. And I found it fascinating because they ended up picking 10 different men and 10 different women with what they determine quote unquote average looks. So between, like, I think they said between like threes and sixes in this experiment. So, but what they did, they all were dressed kind of like this neutral, gender neutral outfit, with all of them were wearing head caps. So you can't see what their hair color looks like. And so the head caps had numbers from 1 to 10 on them. And so the game is that you are supposed to partner up with the person that has the highest number. And something very fascinating happened. So the ones that were marked as 10s, a lot of the quote unquote suitors would go to that 10 and try to make, you know, partner with them. Now, the thing is, like, you didn't know what your number was. So someone that is a 10 and you're approached by a 1, not knowing that you're a 10, but you feel like, okay, I can do better than a 1. And so, like, it was just a very interesting to kind of see how they partnered up. And most of the time, most of them partnered up with numbers really close to what they were. So you have like your 10s and your 10s, and I think 2 and 3 were partnered together. So it's a very interesting experiment. So then afterwards, they were able to take off their head caps so that you can see them for, see their hair color and everything like that. And then based solely on what they look like, not on numbers, they try to partner up again with someone that they found attractive. And again, as the numbers, from decreased, the partners were able to partner up. And again, the numbers were like, I think the highest number difference was like 1. So they were all within 1 point of each other. So very fascinating based on, again, the looks of someone else. And so this kind of reminds me of like how we live in day-to-day age where yes, you see a 10 and so therefore you might not necessarily be a 10, you might be like a 6, so you try to attain a 10, and sometimes what happens is the 10 may reject you and so then you try to find or be attracted to someone that's maybe not a 10, but maybe you drop down and you continue to drop down in numbers until you find someone that kind of matches what you are, what you look like, from a similar scale. And so that's how typically the matching phenomena works. Typically, good looking people will partner up together. Sometimes you get your average looking people partner up together, and so forth. Now, what I have noticed, especially with a lot of social media, you have these beautiful women and these beautiful men, or very attractive men, that have a ton of followers and a ton of likes, and you have someone that's, in real life that wants to attain these tens. And of course, sometimes, if you pop into someone's DM, you might get a message from that person thinking that maybe you could be able to achieve someone that looks like that. Now, the problem with that is it's not realistic. And I think sometimes we forget that we have to kind of look in ourselves of who we truly are. And, just even though someone might be a 4, doesn't necessarily mean they should continue going after tens. I think a big problem is, and where you see a lot of people that are alone or can't find a partner or can't be in a relationship. Sometimes I think that we attain something that's a little bit too out of where we would fall. I guess that would be the what's that term that we use, out of that person, like you're out of that person's league. And I find it kind of sad because we rely so heavily, like we value the importance of social media, and we value for some reason like how someone looks at the end of the day. Now, with that being said, I know that it is also kind of important to like present yourself in the best fashion possible. You want to put an effort to, when you start dating, you want to put in as much effort to like look nice, because again, we see with our eyes first and then our other senses follow. And so what I always found really fascinating is with when you are able to attract a partner, and hey, if you're able to like capture that 10, great for you. All the more power to you. Uh, because if that's what you want and you attained it, that's something that you should probably be proud of. Now, what I've noticed though is that once someone in a relationship, and this is not like a one off, this is like, it seems to be kind of common where you you get into this relationship with this person who's, pretty attractive, um, or you're attractive yourself, and you put in a lot of effort and a lot of work to like to capture them in your relationship, even, try to have a long-term relationship with them. And then over time, what ends up happening is you care less and less about your appearance. I'm not a shallow person, at least I hope not. I'm not a shallow person by any means, and I don't value looks above, someone's personality. It's a nice perk, but it's not something I value. It's not something like, hey, this person has to be attractive for me to be interested in. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just that we tend to not put in as much effort to continue to make that person attractive to us. And I think that this is when you have, either men or women all of a sudden following all these attractive men or all these attractive women and liking their pictures and maybe even engaging in conversations because, you feel, or your partner feels all of a sudden that they're not attractive because you're no longer putting in effort. Again, I don't value looks above someone's personality and how someone treats me. But I also think it's important that we continue to make a valid effort to continue to attract our partner. Now, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there's always going to be someone, prettier or more more handsome or more intelligent or, sweeter or have a nicer personality. Like that will just happen. We're never going to be a perfect person by any means. But there's little things that we can do to continue this attraction from our partners. And that's just putting in some of the effort. One of the things that I learned growing up, and like this is something that I continue to do as well. I lived, my parents have been together for a very long time. And I remember my mom always putting in an effort to look nice, her hair done, her makeup done, dressed nice. And so I valued that, and I continue to do the same. And again, it's just putting in that effort and putting in the time to make sure that, your partners continue to be attracted to you. The big problem also is, again, social media. Social media does play a huge role in the type of partner that we idealize in our head, if this is what we want. I don't think a lot of us, some of us are just not realistic in the sense of the world. And I feel like we have to do a lot of introspective to who we are, what we offer, to someone that we want ultimately to be in a relationship with. Not all of us can attract 10s. Not all of us look like a 10. Now, I talk a lot about physical attraction right now because I think that it's something that we hear a lot of complaints about from women saying that when, they have like their spouses or they have their boyfriends, you know, liking these girls' pictures, and the girl, the girlfriend or the wife, all of a sudden feels really insecure about how she looks. And I think when you have those type of moments in the relationship, I'm not, just as disclaimer, I'm not blaming the woman. And I'm not 100% blaming the man either. But I feel like if you're in those moments, have a full on meaningful conversation, have an open dialogue, and be honest with what you have to say to your partner. If you want to say, like, I noticed that you're always liking all these beautiful women, and I don't feel as if I have any value to that, or I can't live up to that. It makes me uncomfortable. And I think it's important to tell your partner how uncomfortable you feel about these. Now, if your partner is completely honest and says, tells you, well, maybe, you know, this is the type of female. Now, most, I guess that's kind of a little interesting to say, because they might not necessarily tell the truth just because they don't want to start a fight. But I think it really comes back down to like just being willing to have an open conversation and talking to each other in a truthful manner, and realize feelings will probably get hurt. And being able to maybe come to an agreement, say, okay, well, this is how can we maybe move forward, or you know, how can I not be so, uh, how can I be more attractive to you? And you might be surprised with the conversations you have. If you have a partner that is just, again, it could be either male or female. If you have a partner that is just doesn't really care about your feelings, or doesn't really like tell you, you know, why they're so attractive, or, they believe that it's not a big deal, then there's a much deeper problem versus just someone's physical attractiveness. I think that all of us shouldn't value being physically attractive as something that's key to a relationship. I think that knowing who you are and understanding the type of partner you want based on things like their work ethic, how they treat other people, how the little things that they do for you that show meaning and show that they care and show that you are important to them or even a priority to them. I think the more that we understand and we value the actual person versus just the physical appearance, I think we can all be in a much better place. There are some people that all they want is someone that's physically beautiful and they don't care what their personality looks like. And then what ends up happening is that person ends up complaining that the person's just awful. Well, it's because you continue to want to just be in relationships with someone that's just physically attractive and you don't care about their personality. If that's okay, what you attract is what you attract. Some people don't, cannot, or won't be attracted, or they won't want to be in a relationship with someone that's less than what their ideal partner looks like. If that's the case, you have to really ask yourself, are you going to be happy in that situation with someone that's just physically beautiful and they don't have anything else to offer except that? Now, if that's all you want, to each his own, and go forth, then I hope that you find happiness. Now, if you are in a situation where you just base it on someone's looks, but you're unhappy, we have to truly seek what we want. Take out the physical appearance of someone and write down a list of what you want in a partner. Write it down, and you'd be surprised with how many possibilities probably open up. Now, a big part of that is like we have to get to know people. We have to be willing to show who we are. We have to be willing to be vulnerable at times, and being vulnerable is incredibly scary, especially if you have a past history of being hurt when you've shown vulnerability. I believe that if we just get to know the person, take the physical attributes out of the equation and get to the essence and the very core of the person, you're going to find a lot more people that you're going to be attracted to. So I hope that you found some insight on, just the physical attraction of someone. And I hope that you take some insight and maybe do some self-reflection of your own or your situation. And maybe if it's not the ideal situation that you want to be in, maybe don't be afraid to change it. If you are in a situation where it's like, this is ideal, my partner's attractive, everything's, fantastic, I'm happy, good for you. You are fortunate to be in a relationship like that. So always my closing words to you are this: be true to yourself, know your self-worth, and continue to be the best version of you. If you are in a relationship, hold your partner close, a healthy relationship. Hold your partner close and tell them how much you love them and how much you appreciate them. If you're not in a relationship, that's okay. Always be working on towards being the best person you can possibly be. Thank you for listening. And as always, yours truly, the Romantic Cynic.